I am Jacob Mafume, spokesperson of the MDC, led by Advocate Nelson Chamisa. The situation in the country has worsened more than anyone could have predicted. We have a situation where the government has completely failed to manage the country on all fronts. They have completely failed to deal with labor issues arising from the doctors, arising from the civil servants, arising from the value of money that is going to everyone at large. What Mtukudzi did when he came into office is that he created a policy framework where he devalued the money that was hovering at a certain level. It went into a free fall and is stabilized at a very lower level. What that meant is that everybody's earnings and savings were devalued. And the government created a huge deficit in terms of borrowing to fund the rigging of the elections. And this has created a huge hole which the Minister of Finance is failing to cover. The consequent or symptomatic labor disputes from the doctors, from the teachers, from the police, soldiers, and everybody in the civil service is as a result of the fall in value of the money. And this, unfortunately, has been met in the language that this government only knows. This government only knows the language of terror, language of violence, language of force, language of threatening everybody else. So they are trying to threaten doctors, they are trying to threaten the economy, they are trying to threaten everybody into submitting. They want to bring about command happiness, command satisfaction, command salaries, command everything. They believe that if they speak and command it, then it shall be so. This is an erroneous understanding of a country, an erroneous way to handle the country's affairs, and it has been a complete disaster. We are in a mess as a country. There are shortages in terms of money itself. The money itself has fallen value. Prices are rising. Transport has risen 100%. Food has risen more than 100%. Goods in the shops have risen more than 100%. Everything else has gone up. The foreign currency itself has become scarce. To make matters worse, they are indicating that they are going to charge duty on cars in foreign currency. Fuel itself cannot be readily gotten. There are queues all over the place where people are trying to get fuel. So now this has meant that there was no Christmas cheer for the people, there was no Happy New Year for the people. Everything is gloom and dreary. We are heading into a direction where we are going to suffer as a nation. And this has become problematic as a whole. And the solution has been what has been suggested by Advocate Nelson Chamisa. And the solution is pinned upon the 5-point plan. We need the 5-point plan to be implemented. The 5-point plan, which talks about restoration of legitimacy, creating conditions for a dialogue, creating conditions for economic growth, creating conditions for national healing, creating conditions for reforms, and then creating conditions for engagement with the international community. And the key focus is reforms. We need to reform the politics, we need to reform the economy. Without reforms, we are going nowhere as a nation. And people in the international community can see through our dilly-dallying, our silly-sallying, and they can see through the insincerity of the president, of Mr. Mnangagwa, the insincerity of General Chiwenga, in whatever they are doing. There is no sincerity. They say this and produce another level. They come up with agreements which they themselves say and sign, and they try to force everyone else to do things the way they are doing it. We are still in a militarized process whereby we need to follow commands. The economy cannot be rigged that way. The economy cannot be dealt with that way. We need a lasting transition that will enable to create an environment where the reforms are done. Realignment with the constitution needs to be done as a matter of urgency. Realignment of the economy to sound economic principles needs to be done as a matter of urgency. The economic policy and the budget that has been issued by Mtukudzi is become redundant before it is even signed. It has become redundant in terms of the value of the money where it was put. It has become redundant in terms of the figures that it purported to have. Now we have companies like Delta, Zimra itself charging foreign currency, companies like Chicken Inn. All companies are migrating to the hard currency, and they are doing it without a policy framework. They are doing it informally, and this will create havoc in people's earnings, create havoc in the financial sector, create havoc in the whole economy. This whole process needed to be planned, but we have a finance minister who is talking about power stations when he should be talking about currency, who is talking about everything else that is happening elsewhere when he is not talking about the economy. I'm beginning to believe that Chiwenga and Mnangagwa were victims of a confidence job under Mtukudzi. They were conned. They were conned to believe that this man had a sound economic principles in his head. They were conned to believe that there were solutions in his head. Now they are coming out speaking like confused persons. One announcement after the other. At night, taking leave, coming back from leave, consulting each other, not consulting each other. They are advising people more about how happy they are to be together. They forget that their job is not to be happy together, but their job is to deal with the economy and deal with the issues that affect the people. No one wants them to be bosom buddies, the president and this vice president. No one wants them to be friends, as it were, but people just want them to do the job. And they are simply concentrating on the wrong thing to show that they are united. And all they are united in is failure. They are united in messing up the economy. They are united in creating havoc in people's lives. They are united in causing untold suffering of huge proportions, of biblical proportions. The last time there were plagues like this, it was during the time of Israel under the pharaohs. They've become the modern day pharaohs, visiting the 12 plagues of Israel of Egypt on the people of Zimbabwe. The plagues of disease, death, pestilence, drought, and everything else. We are in a mess as a country, and we need to approach this through dialogue and meaningful reforms.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.